Pick up the phone, turn it up. Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. We talk it out from end to end. And if you've got something to share, pick up the phone, turn it up. Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. We talk it out. And if you've got something
Welcome brothers, welcome sisters, welcome to our program On Target. Remember, we are 91.9, 91.5 Real FM. We are on We Noise FM 94.9 in Brooklyn, New York. And you can always put us anywhere you want. We encourage you to subscribe to the program, share the program, and like the program. And it gives us an opportunity to discuss issues. We have to walk away from the blame game. We must use the past so we could advance, not necessarily to blame people. We seem to be very good at making excuses. We blame in slavery. We blame imperialism. We blame capitalism. We blame the Americans and the British. Just now we're going to start blaming the Chinese and the Japanese. We have our own university in the Caribbean. All the leaders in the Caribbean are from the Caribbean. They are the leaders in the country. We are independent countries. We are able to join any organization we want. And we have experimented with communism and socialism and Marxist-Leninism. Yet, we are not taking responsibility for action. Our young men and women are outside there blaming people. They blame their parents. When we're in the community, we accuse the businessmen and those who are doing well. We are hostile against them. We say they're wicked and they're mean and they're evil and they don't help nobody. Now, where will it end? We have a democratic country. And in 1983, we was given a second bite at the pie. We had an opportunity to select our own government. We had a traumatic period prior to 1983. With over 3,000 Grenadians was in prison. And we supervised over the worst crime after slavery and colonialism. Today, we must start to recognize that we are responsible for the future we make tomorrow. We are responsible. We have to prepare to discuss issues. Family members must sit together. Stop fighting on one another. Discuss the issues. See how we could invest. Children coming out from school, you are better able than your parents in yesteryear. Almost all the children who attend secondary school today, their parents had the opportunity to go to a secondary school. In yesteryear, Standard 3 and Standard 4 was when the majority of parents left school. Many of them couldn't read and write. In the 70s, the Alliance and the GNP used to kick on them. They used to call them illiterates, dumb, stinking Gayrites, cadavers, because they were not able to read and write. Today we have secondary schools, primary schools. Some schools don't even have enough children in it. The teacher to children ratio today is about 1 teacher to 15 children. That is better than most developed countries in the world. We need to do better. We have had a lot of individuals who have higher learning, master's degree, bachelor's degree, doctorate, PhD. Some of them have 2 doctors. How does higher learning help to develop our country? We are a small country, 110,000 people. Almost in every village in Grenada, you have people of higher learning. How does you having a certificate or education help your community? Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre, good morning.
Yes, my brother.
Mr. Pierre, you listen to Mr. Ralph Gonzal?
I heard Ralph Gonzal on the CBI program you're speaking about.
Yes.
Yeah. I heard Ralph Gonzal always had a strong position against the CBI program.
Well, according to what it's saying, just get to it. He could call Grenada Prime Minister and tell him he's a traitor. He could call Dominica and tell him them he's traitor. He could call St. Kitts, call St. Lucia and tell them they're selling out. Because these are the countries. But I mean, they want him, he talks some serious things.
Ralph Gonzal, yes, always.
He said they set up base in a country very close to St. Vincent. He said it could be very dangerous.
Well, Ralph Gonzal always believed that selling passport is like prostitution. That is how strong he felt about it. And that doesn't mean because he have that strong position, others have to follow. But he's very strong on it, and he always believed.
He's making some strong accusation, man.
Well, he has been doing that for a very long time. Ralph Gonzal has made his position clear years ago on passport. And the opposition in the country want to sell passport. Ralph Gonzal stand up and support Taiwan. And even when China was talking about invading Taiwan, Ralph Gonzal went to Taiwan. He was strong on that. And one have to respect him for his position. He give justification, he give reasons why he have this position.
Okay, good Truman, all right.
Yes, scholar. You don't have to agree with Ralph, but you must respect Ralph's position. Because Ralph advanced reasons for it. He doesn't believe in selling passport. He say you end up selling your country's passport to the highest bidder. And he calls that, he say you're behaving like a prostitute. He's very strong about that. Some countries see selling passport as a means of getting really needy cash. But what they're doing with the cash, what they're doing with the money, because that money should be placed in the productive sector of the economy, because that perhaps is a temporary thing. You cannot depend that your whole development will be on selling passport. But what you find happening, they use the money from selling passport for current expenditure, to pay salaries, to meet current expenditures, and not for the productive sector for development. So if you invest that money in the productive sector, When the sailor passport comes to an end, you're going to have areas as a result of that investment making money. So take for instance Grenada. Grenada main source of income comes from St. George's University. Over 20% of our GDP is from the St. George's University. Then we have remittance from overseas. The people in the United States, England, Frankfurt, wherever they are, always send back money to Grenada. That is a significant contributor to the GDP. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, good morning to you, or good afternoon to you.
Yes, my brother.
How are you doing today?
Great, man, good, man.
Right. Now, the gentleman asked if you heard Ralph. I had been listening to Ralph a while ago, and he's very, very strong on the selling of passport or citizenship by investment, and so do I. Because long before Ralph take a position, I did take a position. It started way back when I discovered certain group of people coming here. So I term it the change of culture. Yeah? I didn't want to call names, so I say change of culture. And one Grenadian, just as how Mr. Gonzalez is one in Grenadian, I one Grenadian because I saw an overlap with the citizenry. And there will come a time when, if we're not careful, these people is going to manage for themselves and not for us. So I'm not saying we shouldn't try something, but not to make it the main foreign exchange earner. You tack, you say, okay, we're going to do this for 5 years, and do this for 10 years. Then what are we going to do with the monies? We are going to pound these monies into the economy as it relates to infrastructure. So you get all your infrastructure going, you set the economy, and then you work the economy to bring in the revenues that you need, right, with the aid of your people. And you cut it out. But it seems as though we want to make this a long-lasting thing and to get as much money as possible and to stretch it down for years. There's a great danger in that. You see, I said over the years that we're bright people, yeah? We have mental capacity. We're losing some of that. But we're stuck in theory. We are not transforming the knowledge we have into realities to do things on our own. I am convinced that based on this little country that I am in, we have every single thing to prevent us from begging, going to the IMF, going to the World Bank. All we have to do is to position the economy strategically, what we're going to have as the lead, second, then third, and then fourth. So I will start with infrastructure. I go to tourism and come back to agriculture because these things have to go together. Real estate, the building industry, the service sector, and the cottage industry. And I believe these areas can put us exactly where we want to go. But we want to move too fast. We're going too fast with our head and our feet is not moving. Yeah? For instance, a government go in office, a party go in office, form the government, and you target 5 schools within the 5 years. Do you have the capacity, the financial capacity to do the 5 schools? No, you don't have it. You can't do that within a 5 years. So what are you going to do? You target, okay, I'm going to do 1 school. You may lose office within the period. Somebody else to come and do another school and another school. What you targeting is to spend limitedly based on the money you have, grow in the economy, work in the economy, and you saving. So you have a reserve. Every 5 years or every year, you save, let's say, $3 or $4 million. Over a period of 20 to 25, 30 years, you might have more than $1 billion. So here you go. What you would borrow, you now have it. So you don't need to borrow anymore. You work it very wisely. Yeah? Year after year until you get where the people supposed to be. But when you go too fast, eventually you take loans. You raise cost of living. You raise the taxes. Who pays that? Who gives you the revenue to pay back the debt? Because you in order to outcost the people so they cannot spend anymore. And we shut down. So Mr. Gonzalez is extremely right, and I think our leaders must listen to us. We're not dumb as a thing. Listen to us. Walk with us. We're not supposed to walk with them. Walk with us. Let us say to them what we want and work with that and to transform this country. That is what we have to do. If we fail to do that and we go borrowing, but this oil thing, there is a waste of time, I'm seeing so much problem with this. That's a waste of time. This oil, yes, we have oil there, but I see more problems in this oil than benefits. I don't want to take too much of your time, Mr. Pierre. Have a great day, sir.
And I agree with you, Color. I agree with you on all the basis, and if perhaps, and again, it's because of lack of discussion. When a government decides to do something, they don't want to entertain additional discussion. But we have gotten millions of dollars from CBI program, particularly in the last 3 years, and we are practically squandering the money. We are practically squandering the money, and that is sad. Because what happened now, because of the amount of money we squander, everybody in Grenada is asking for more money. But as I said, what are the areas we're getting money from to contribute to the GDP? And I said one of them was St. George's University. More than 20% of the GDP is as a result of the St. George's University and the multiplying effect. Then remittance from away. Then tourism, particularly from America and the European market. That is where the majority of our tourists come from. United States and European market. And the third is the CBI program. The four main areas. Agriculture, maybe 20, 25, 30 million. From fish. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Sir, good evening.
Yes, man. Great, man.
Mr. Pierre, how many months now since the NDC in power?
In June, they will make them 3 years.
So like 29 days, so right now they're like 29 months?
Yeah, they're 2 years and about 9-10 months.
So then, and in that time now, the Prime Minister traveled like 38 times out of that.
The Prime Minister is a hostess.
Because right now, he passport do more work than the work he had to do here, so he passport, what is the priority right now?
Prime Minister, unproductive Prime Minister, and is a hostess.
But Mr. Pierre, first time I see that in my life, you
First time too,
out of 29 months to travel 38 times on it and things like that, studying the people. And afterwards, people who was unsensible, people calling and talking all kind of stupidness, all kind of this thing in the Prime Minister this morning, culture man saying that telling Chargy how Kate they long and she don't build no wall, all kind of stupidness. This Mr. Pierre, when you hear these people and them call talking that stupidness, they make a lot of people vex, they make a lot of people it's right. You have time you have to listen them, but you have time Mr. Pierre, they talk real shit. They talk real stupidness. You know how to tell you I have something to tell you, but I can't tell you on the air.
Yeah, and I missed your number, some or the other. So.
Pardon?
Some or the other kind of lost your number. I must have it, but the name was not associated.
Mr. Pierre, if you give me your number, then I have something to tell you.
All right, take this number. Watch me. 410.
Yeah, 410.
It's 410. 536.
536.
Yeah, 3030.
3030.
536 3030.
536 3030, but
yeah.
no, 536 3030, right?
Yeah, you could call that.
Okay,
now.
right, later.
536 3030. Yes, so that is one of the challenge we have. So our people must know that this is not rocket science. Some people want you to believe that this thing is rocket science. Our economy, the main source of income for our economy is the St. George's University. More than 20% of the GDP come from St. George's University. The next one is St. George's, the remittance. People sending back money home. That is serious foreign exchange. So the country needs the foreign exchange. Tourism and the CBI program. The agriculture dropped by about 6% last year. So we have cocoa, nutmeg, fish, and soursop. I think we're making more money from fish and soursop than cocoa and nutmeg. We was the second largest producer of nutmeg in the world. Now we are about 10th. And it seems we're going back. So the CBI program, government is getting a lot of money from CBI program. Now people have to understand, this government is not in financial trouble. They have a lot of money. They got over $500 million when they reach in the treasury. That is when they say the treasury pregnant. They got $100 million from Saudi Arabia. They got over $100 million from the insurance, creep or what program. After burial, the previous government insured the country. So 14 days after, they got over $100 million. They claim that they make $1 billion from the CBI program. The government raised the price of sugar. They raised the price of water. And they raised the price of electricity. So as a result of that, all goods raised. And they continue to increase the collection of tax and VAT, etc. Because sugar was a zero-rated good, and they raised the price. And they put VAT on it. You pay either 15 or 20% VAT on sugar. All sugary drinks like Coke and some of the sodas, you're paying 20% VAT on it. The government raised the price on electricity. So if you raise the price on water and electricity, almost everything in the country that you produce that involve water and electricity, price is going to raise. The government don't have a problem for money. It's a question of priorities. The Prime Minister of Grenada, they claim, spent $8 million in traveling in 2 years. And Mia Motley spent $1.7 million in 7 years. The Prime Minister goes away and sometimes we don't know where he goes. So this 38 times he's speaking about it is the only time they could track him. This Prime Minister is a squanderer of public funds. I'm so disappointed in some Grenadians that should be the umpires, the custodians of morality. They always watching people behavior. All of a sudden, they get quiet. You have to understand, this Prime Minister says he pays money for good relationship. Well, I never hear that yet. If you're going to pay money for good relationship, in my opinion, that is bribery. We heard rumors that the Prime Minister received gifts in excess of $30,000 from companies. And as far as we know, these gifts was not retired to the Integrity Commission. We know the Prime Minister flaunted the law in the Grenada Development Bank. Laws that was there since 1973 under the Gary government to protect the bank. The Prime Minister flaunted the law and they raided the bank. They gave money to ministers, to directors, and to some people close to NDC. That is a criminal act. Now look at what the government do with the CBI program. Several members of the hierarchy of the NDC are agents selling passport. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
I joined you late because I was with Pierre in Hermitage, but like to pass somewhere else.
Yes, this time pass
So
the baton.
I just joined you.
Yeah.
You're on a good load, but a point I want to make, Mr. Pierre, in this time, the government said they have a lot of construction work all over the country. And it was shocking to me that a young man told me, he asked for, they work in what you call the build back better houses. The contractor asked him what he could do. He said, I'm a laborer. He said, I want to start you with, I will give you $80 once you could work as a laborer. But he wants to know his political leaning. That was really ridiculous.
Then why you
The
surprised?
contractor wants to know who the man in a simple job like that.
Then why you
who support.
surprised? You know what have me taken aback? You surprised. The Prime Minister said the only reason NNP getting assistance because they don't know who the real yellow is. So most of the people on the ground now want to know what is your political inclination. How you could surprise at that?
So I am saying now that the NDC activists and them who have the authority to give somebody a little job, they're singing one song, follow the leader, follow the leader. But you remember little children days, he had a point in the song where they say, change the leader. How they singing, follow the leader, follow the leader. The leader laid the foundation to look for your people first. And they decide that they're looking for the following the leader instruction. This is dangerous for our country. Asking people to take note. This is dangerous. No time in the history of this country we ever going through this trend where members of our government asking who you are, how you stand politically and that thing, to give you an ordinary, simple job. No. We cannot go back. We cannot go back to that. And before I put on, I remind members of the community again, tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, we want to have a meet and greet with our new caretaker and political leader and opposition leader. Everybody knows, by coffee shop tomorrow evening at 6. Everyone welcome. I rest my case. Thank you.
It's okay, caller. I have been studying Deacon for quite a while, and I've been on the radio for the last 2 years pointing out about government policy is a vindictive, vengeful policy that's going to cause fracture in our country and would lead to social decadence. The Prime Minister said that the only reason NNP supporters getting assistance is because they don't know who the real yellow is. Black Wizard said inside NDC is a lot of NNP. So they reach a point where they don't even want to help the NNP that inside NDC. I said that. They heard me speak on radio. So the minister promised to give $5,000 for the farmers that have 5 acres of land or less, and $9,000 for the farmers who have over 5 acres of land. So I qualify for 9,000. BJ qualified for 9,000. And other people named that I wouldn't call on radio. But the government decide whether that we should not benefit. The only criteria they use is that we are attacking the government. They said it was for agriculture income support, not for developing land. You know. They said because of the hurricane, people lost money, so the government giving money for income support. They had $180 million from the insurance company. They selected the criteria. And then they decide that on target is attacking them. So the minister said, don't give him no money. That is the government we have. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, I think you should recheck your facts. BJ has come out on the radio and said that he did receive the second, he got 4,009 the first time, and then he got the other second part of it. So,
well, I did not hear that part.
That up.
Yeah, because what
So,
I heard from him is that he got 4,005.
yeah, he did say he got 3,005 or whatever the first time.
So they give him
probably
okay. Yeah.
reapplied or whatever, and he got the balance. So he did get it.
Well, they decided they ain't give me none. The boy said no. BJ look halfway. So they gave me none. Yeah.
It's coming.
Yes, my brother. Yeah. So I believe that we must have discussion. We cannot blaming people in the past. We have a government here. We have to point out the excesses and what is wrong in the government policies. If the government pay heed to us, they pay heed. If they don't pay heed to us, nothing is wrong with that. We provide the truth. We provide information. What you do with the truth, you stand the consequences of it. But it means that economically, we're not in a good position. We do not have anything where they grow in the economy. The government does not offer any policy to grow the economy. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, after Mr. Pierre, how are you?
Great, man.
Mr. Pierre, I want to say that you're in a home. You have a husband and a wife and 3 children living in a home. And corruption is taking place in that house. The husband are be present in that house. And you go to say to you people to say that this husband don't know that corruption are taking place in the house. Anybody who say that, Mr. Pierre, something wrong with their thinking.
Sometimes the husband is a mama pool. Sometimes the husband,
and he don't know.
Sometimes
he don't need to be a husband. He don't need to be a father. Because a father is the head of a home. Right? And you should know what's going on. If something happen, you might know the same time, but you will get to know. Right? And when you get to know, and people tell you, when you get to know, people tell you something, you don't deal with the situation. Instead of dealing with what the person investigate to know what the person saying, if it's true or not true. But you don't investigate, but because of the children, and the person tells something, they hate the children, so you say that you try to cause the person who bring in the information, who tell you what the children doing, and causing them, and allowing the children to continue to do what he's doing. And this is exactly what this government are doing with the amount of corruption that are taking place within the ministries. And the head cornerstone is the political leader of the party. He knows about it. But because of his friend, he want to protect a friend. One had a good relationship with a friend. But I would say, if you love a friend and there's something wrong, is to stop them and discipline them, because he's a friend that's going to bring you down. They're going to bring you down. So if you really love a friend and you have to discipline and tell, stop it, because it makes me shame. But there you have some people that pay, the more wrong things they do and more things that a friend do and they do, like they feel happy about it. I want to say the password and the code of this government is grade/gel envy. The code is corruption. This is what is going on under this administration. Corruption left, right, and center. And the head person of cabinet, he knows about it, but nothing. So you come like you give blessing to corruption, and for what is right, you cost him for what is right. Mr. P, Greener needs a party, a government that We seek for the people of America diplomatic, a government that we look and see that everybody benefit, everybody need it, because when everybody paying tax and whatsoever money spent, everybody should benefit from that. But we have corruption taking place, so left, right, and center, and one should deal with it. They're not dealing with it. Corruption is like the bodyguard. I want to say to the greater people, you know what to do next election, because you think you're voting for a party that will make things better and bring castle living. But right now, things are getting harder and harder. So my question to the greater people, are you better off today than before the last election? That way yesterday after ourselves. And we could come back. Come back to be where we were before 2022 election by voting the NNP party, which is the best party to govern the country. When NNP govern, the people rejoice, everybody rejoice and smile, because everybody benefit. So people have a blessing.
So you sung as a good politician. Color, you sung as a good politician. But sometimes corruption going in your house, the man can squeak. Because the man is a mama pool. He can squeak. And he have to take care of his own survival. Deacon has decided to bribe some of the individuals. And he said, it's not me, he said that he paid the money for good relationship. And if a prime minister going to say that, I interpret it to be bribery. And yes, you could change government. But if the people in the country don't want to stand up for the truth, this government set a precedent that government coming could just follow. We came from a higher standard where the government was interactive, providing answers, where the government legislate discipline. And we stand up and watch the government mash up the legislation that was put there for discipline. And I warn the trade union leaders in Grenada here. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon. Mr. Pierre, this guy knows what is corruption.
Caller. Make your point.
Corruption. Yeah. Corruption is in the marketing board in this country. NFP destroyed the marketing board. Over $17 million on a congressman. That is corruption, Mr. Pierre. Mr. Pierre, you had people taking marketing board things and they're saying from marketing board over and over and over. That is corruption. Mr. Pierre, tell this dummy that is corruption.
You see what you're doing? When you call him dummy and he come after you back now, you're not giving me an opportunity to think. I'm always trying to avoid you all going after one another personally. And I know it's hard, because that's what the NDC members are doing. I have been called stupid, dummy, corrupt, they say taking money, all kind of things. Yet, because when I ask questions, they cannot answer. And what went on in marketing board might have been bad management, but it was not corruption. If government take a decision, and as a result of the decision they take, you didn't find productivity, it wasn't bad management, it was a bad decision. If they benefit from the decision they take, that is corruption. So when Deacon flaunt the law in the bank and take the money in the bank and give it to members of his government, that is corruption. When what happened in National Lottery took place, and Lacret, based upon what we are hearing, objected, and the Prime Minister fired Lacret instead of dealing with the issue, that is corruption. When the Prime Minister and several other members of the top echelon of the NDC are agents selling passport, that is corruption. When one minister after 2 years had over $600,000 in a bank account and run up a hotel bill in excess of 30,000 US and the government pay, that is corruption. When Mr. Forrester who is well qualified to be ambassador, become an ambassador for the diaspora, but is preoccupied and more involved as an agent for NDC, that is corruption. When a minister of government gave his landlord a contract for 90,000 and the landlord subcontract the contract for 50,000 and the person finish it under a week, that is pregnant with corruption. You have to know what corruption is. The previous government might have made mistakes because they overreach, because they take risk, because of bad management. But there are no evidence that the ministers benefited from it. When a prime minister come in power and unilaterally take a decision to give his members $2,000, and one of his ministers said after he paid check, only $2 remain in his account, and they went back and complained to the prime minister, and the prime minister raised the salary again, and when they complained again, he decided he's going to give an additional $10,000 that goes in a personal account of a minister. That is opening the door to corruption. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, you there? Yeah, we must know what. Caller, you with us?
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller, go ahead.
on corruption, you were just saying that when a minister run up a hotel bill for
In excess of 30,000 US. And government have to pay the bill.
That's corruption. I agree with you.
That is corruption.
What about when somebody run up a phone bill for $20,000 and the government had to pay for it? Was that corruption?
Caller, we need to ask some questions and don't go away from me. I want you to stay with me this one. And let me and you reason this one. Who the bill came to? Who was paying the bill? Does the bill in that person's name? Caller, don't go. Caller, don't run on me.
I'm here.
Yes, if the bill came to that individual. So let me give you an example. If you're a public officer and you have a phone from the government, but you never receive the bill will come to you as a public officer. So you're using your phone. They never give you a limit how much you're supposed to use. So the government have the Ministry of Communication and Works that might be responsible for that management of that phone, but you're working in agriculture. So let's suppose you go on roaming fee and etc. And that phone come up way up. The ministry will come and check you and say, no, and cut off the phone. But if you had no cut off on the phone, you was not receiving bill, you didn't pay in bill, that is not corruption, that is bad management. You hear me, caller?
The bill that for the traveling bill, who got the bill? The minister got the bill or the government?
Which bill are you talking about? You're making
the
hotel bill. Caller, when a minister going away or any public officer going away, they have a podium. So they may give you 150, I don't know, let's say 200 for easy calculation. They may give you 200 US a day. And they would take into consideration that the hotel you're going to, they know what is it, and they give you 200 US a day. Or they may pay your flight and pay the hotel bill. But if you run up the hotel bill in excess of what you have, the government is supposed to pay. You're supposed to pay it back. Like corruption.
Yeah, but who gets that bill? Who gets that bill?
Well,
the minister or the government?
The bill will come on the government name or your name.
Okay. All right, the government, and the government paid it.
But because you is a government minister, for the embarrassment of the state, the government could come in and pay the bill and then require you pay it back. And all that could be done quietly.
So what's the difference with the phone bill?
It's the difference with the phone bill is that there's a lot of public officers that have government phone, but they never give them a limit on the phone because the government may have a package deal. So let me say you have 100 phone in government. Government might have a package deal with the company for $20,000 a month. One person may never use the phone. One person might just use $10 a month. One person might use $3,000. So they're only going to detect months after sometime communication and works determine phone 47600 is running up the bill too high. You who using the phone don't have a clue how much they pay a month. You see,
who is responsible for the bill eventually?
the government is responsible. The phone is the government owned. The bill is the government owned.
So why did the previous prime minister said that Sheldon Scott had to pay the bill?
The previous prime minister never said that. Let me caller. Listen. You start an issue, you put it as a hypothetical case, and you start to call name and you start to say what people say. We want to stick with the truth, and I have been a public.
Sticking with the truth.
Yes, caller. So I'm telling you,
I'm
caller. You don't speak in truth. You don't know what you're talking about. Since you come saying that on phone, you jump in the political arena. You don't know what you're speaking about. There's a number of people.
Mr. Pierre, there is an interview that was done in Montreal.
Caller. I don't have this information. Caller. Watch me. Me and you reason. If you start to go out and bring in somebody else.
Had to pay the bill back.
You see, the public must understand when issues become a political football. There is a number of public officers that have phone. Maybe the ministry need to tighten up the system. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, Father Mark Haynes, that was the chairman of the Shooter Reconciliation.
Father Mark Haynes, yes.
From September 4th, September 2001.
Yes, my brother, thank you.
Yeah.
We're speaking about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Yes.
Desmond Tutu was the one that led it in South Africa.
South Africa, yeah, he was the Archbishop of Pretoria.
And they went to a religious person because they want some level of neutrality and fairness and etc.
Yeah.
And in Grenada, Mark Haynes.
Yes.
Is Mark Haynes?
Yeah, Father Mark Haynes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the chairman.
Okay.
When you hear it on radio, you hear it, man. You hear it really.
Yes. And that was important for people to know.
Yeah.
And I asked the question,
and he lasted for 5 years, you know.
From 2001 to 2006.
And
5 years.
September
March
4th,
to September.
From September 4th to March 2006.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these things are important.
Oh, yes.
A number of people want to jump up in politics. There's something you must know.
Yeah.
And politicians must know.
Yeah.
And if you're a leader of a political party, I asked the question to Peter David.
But you know, before, right, when you had the inquiry, the commission of inquiry, yeah, and what was Bishop Carter we had too? With Fraser and the Duffus Commission.
The Duffus Commissioner report in the 70s.
Yeah, but we didn't have one Carter who was also a bishop.
I don't know what he was, but he was some. Because they try to.
So the party try to make it that every time you have such an inquiry, there's always a religious figure.
Yeah, you want a reputable institution, reputable individuals.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's important. Yeah. And I asked this question yesterday about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Some men may say, well, that happened long. But Peter David, based upon his role, and based upon the fact that he went on to become a lawyer, and must understand the value of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And my issue is, did you contribute to it? I mean, that question should have been asked years ago when they joined a political party. But they did not join, they was not the leader. Ralph Gonzalez came to Grenada and spend time talking about the pause that a prime minister have in a leadership. Most of the prime ministers, or I should say, all the prime ministers in Grenada here, in the democratic process was very conservative with the power, how they use it in the leadership. Deacon Mitchell has gone on that. He said they don't know how to use power. And we see the level of recklessness that Deacon Mitchell is displaying in the use of power. Now that is a new law or a new template that we establishing for the use of power. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon once again.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I listened to this conversation between you and that gentleman there. And I tell you something. I was an accounting officer because I control finance and store rules. And in my job, I was personally and financially responsible for anything under my control, not the PS, because it's a separate system. So it's accountability. If you fail to account, you bite the bullet. So where you have a PS heading the department, these things, he or she is supposed to be responsible. So it's not the individual, it is the accounting officer. And I said that before, we failing to hold the accounting officer responsible. This matter was supposed to be handled very quietly without this amount of noise, and name calling, because the accounting officer is supposed to take responsibility for. And that's what was supposed to be discussed between the accounting officer and the accountant general. Yeah? And the matter settled there. So
it's on a political football.
Right.
Because of the individual. Yeah.
Right. And so this is what we need to do in these offices. The accounting officer is supposed to be responsible. That's why I couldn't remain much longer with government, because I couldn't tolerate this nonsense. Too much people doing what they want, and things is just going haywire. And who do you blame? You blame the wrong person.
Yeah.
So this is what we have to do. Hold the people accountable for the office. And these things will not happen. You see, we are afraid to hold people accountable. If I have to run a country, or I have to be part of it, the first thing I would do is to legislate against me. Yeah? To protect the country and protect the citizens. I legislate against me.
Well, you see, what they're doing now is to almost get rid of all the discipline the legislation had put in place to manage these things.
Well, that's out, because you doesn't have a commission anymore.
Yeah.
That is out.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having the problem now. Those things is happening now. If we change around the system, when I was there, look, I did my job, irrespective of which minister or permanent secretary. I had my job to do, and I did my job. And I had absolutely no problem. People said I would have problem because of the system. I said, no. I come from the private sector, and I know how to work. I have a job description. Yes, my job is outlined to me. In my job description, the minister cannot do my job. The PS cannot do my job. And sometimes you have to go very close to insubordination to have your job done. And I did this. Yeah? It didn't put me, they didn't fire me. They didn't demote me. You know what happened? I got promotion. I went right up where I was doing certain things for ministers and permanent secretary that people who were there 20 and 25 years couldn't do. Yeah? So that's what we have to do. Hold people accountable, let them perform their duties.
Yes, scholar.
Have a great day.
I never made comment on that. I just leave it alone, because I realized that was just taken and make a political football. And the NDC is doing a dangerous thing. The NDC is hunting down the individual, most likely in a case they would lose. Because the individual never was paying bills, as far as I understand. He had a government home. The Attorney General then, after he no longer was an Attorney General, had his phone. And I think the bill was either $9 and $19. And he went to give her back his phone, and there's also the nonsense. What we supposed to have is better management. One individual in Barbados run up a telephone bill in a school, thousands of dollars. Every night for him to work, he's speaking to his girlfriend in America. By the time they get onto him, he's permanent in America. So what we need to have was management. But the NDC, one of the most corrupt government in the country, you go into such down for this individual, and I hope you don't put it in a stage where it backfire on you. It could well backfire on you. And I don't believe that individual, whatever case you have against him, he never used to pay bill. Telephone bill never come to him. So it was a question of bad management. Obviously, the individual run up the telephone bill. Some countries have this, I don't know too much about the technology, but roaming costs. I remember government was discussing to waive a roaming costs when it is within the Caribbean. So that's one of the issues. But I believe that we must continue to have discussion on issue. It's unfortunate that the individuals of higher learning are not taking part in the discussion. I believe they're suffering from a phenomenon. Normally you say you only see a fool when you open your mouth. So most of these individuals don't have the courage of the conviction. They have a lot of certification, but they are more commission agent for the multinational corporation, and they don't have the courage of their own conviction. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
yes,
this individual is not a stupid. You know when you work with government, and when you work with NMP. NMP that thief, they thief.
So you must have the courage of your conviction. You have a master's degree in economics. The country economy is in challenge or whatever. You mustn't be afraid to discuss this issue. You are a medical doctor. We have issues on health. You have an issue now. You have a caller anyway? And that would be our last caller. Caller, yeah. That's the last caller for the day. We have an issue now in Grenada, and we raised it slightly yesterday, of the hospital issue. The government said they want to build a teaching hospital. Well, Grenadians are not guinea pigs. We already have the university here for decades. And the university have been functioning well and using the St. George's Hospital and the animals in the country for practice. So if the university want more practice in Grenada, encourage them to invest more. The government could invest more in livestock and provide better field day for St. George's University. They need sheep and goat and animals too to practice on. They need dogs to practice on too. So you want to build a teaching hospital? Well, you want Jamaica come down? Which other countries you offering to use 100,000 people for practice? The government must have confidence in the people and answer the question. When you ask the government question, they say information is based upon need to know, and it's that. And we're speaking about a prime minister that is telling more lies than all other politicians put together in the island since 1973. We're speaking about a prime minister that's flying like an air hostess. We're speaking about a prime minister that believes you have to pay for good relationship. We're speaking about a prime minister that's sneaking into countries secretly and have to be publicly chastised by officials from that country. We're speaking about a prime minister threatening to buy plane, and after that claim that he didn't know the plane matter a license and insurance. We're speaking about a prime minister that is practically an agricultural lunatic. You say you get net to trap the seaweed in the ocean. Well, even if it is possible, how economically viable that is. We're speaking about a prime minister that is encouraging his people to plant black pepper because he believes it has a higher survivability in a hurricane. We're speaking about a prime minister that is saying you're going to get Greenleg truck, rent a lease to pick mango and guava. Which company going to lend you $200,000-$300,000 to get involved in a commercial entity after 4 in the evening. That is the Prime Minister you're speaking about. You're speaking about a Prime Minister that got 100 house unit, low income houses that was built for the poor of the poor. People were given the keys to the houses. This Prime Minister took it back from them and decided to sell it to the diaspora. You're speaking about a Prime Minister that you have houses in St. Patrick's. And I know of people, at least one person I spoke to, applied for the house and got a letter saying you approve, but you must pay $75,000. And she went to the bank based upon the instructions of the government, only to come out in the bank in tears. And she worked with government all her life. That is the Prime Minister you're speaking about? Based upon his track record, could you trust him? And I dare, and I challenge any NDC to defend that. And no scholar can defend that. We thank you very much, and we're back with you tomorrow between 12 and 1, and you have an opportunity to punch. Thank you very much.
Don't disappear. Only on Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to fail.